Have you ever experienced art block or felt thoughts like nothing you're making looks good, you don't feel creative, or you don't even feel like you know what you want to paint? Well, in this video, we're going to do something about that. Hi, my name is Madeline, and in today's video, we're going to try to get over some art block by really playing with our watercolors. We're going to experiment with bleeding and splatters, and we're just going to let loose and have fun and hopefully help you get back into your creative groove. I have 3 fun exercises that we'll do together. One is going to be in a sketchbook, the second is going to be painting little bookmarks, and the third is sort of painting a loose landscape and kind of using gravity with our watercolors. As far as what supplies you need, all you need is watercolor paper, watercolor paint, some watercolor brushes, and some masking tape. You can use a board or block of watercolor paper for the last exercise, but you could also just tape some watercolor paper to like a plastic board. So I have a sketchbook right here, and you can use any sketchbook or any watercolor paper really. I do recommend 100% cotton just because sometimes I feel like you get better results with 100% cotton watercolor paper, but feel free to use whatever you have. I have my paint palette here. It's primarily M-gram paints. They are known to move really well with water. And so I will be using my paint palette right here, and I have 2 brushes. I have a flat brush by Silver Black Velvet, and I have a round 10, which I'm going to be using for painting our trees. And so our first exercise today is going to be painting some fun, loose, kind of like whimsical trees, and kind of letting our watercolors bleed and blend with each other, and sort of just appreciating how fun watercolor can be when you don't have sort of like a agenda. So I'm going to grab some water, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the lower half of my page. So I'm going to kind of make a streak of water right here at the bottom. So right here I'm going to do a thick kind of straight line of water. And what we're going to do is we're going to paint trees above this water line, and we're just going to let the watercolors bleed. So I'm going to grab my round 10, and I'm going to start off with some yellow ochre. And I'm going to paint one line down for the tree trunk, and I'm going to let that color sort of explode right down there. And I'm just sort of making really loose zigzags. And that's my first tree. There's really not a whole lot to it. And I'm going to grab some opera rose and mix it in with my my yellow to kind of make like an orange color. And there's no right or wrong colors. Feel free to use whatever colors you have. I'm sort of painting the colors of the rainbow, but you do not need to. Okay, so that's sort of my orangey color. Now I'm going to grab some pink. And I'm just letting my brush hit the wet area of water down there. And it's just sort of kind of exploding color-wise. Now I'm going to do some purple. This color specifically is called dioxazine purple, and it's very bright and vibrant. So again, I'm just going to drag that down. And you know what? You can paint trees however you want. There is no right or wrong way. If you want to drop more color like I just did right there, feel free to. Now I'm going to get some ultramarine. And this is all about just kind of playing. There's no right or wrong way to paint these trees. And if trees are stressful for you, paint something else. Paint mountains or something. Paint something that doesn't feel stressful to you. I'm going to do 2 more. I'm going to do a brown. And this color doesn't move as much as the other ones do, and that's totally okay. And then my last color, I'm going to do some Payne's Gray and Neutral Tint. So like a nice kind of gray color. And I'm going to just wet my paper just a tiny bit right here. I can see that it's dried out. Last tree. And I just love how watercolors do that. And there's our fun little activity. And then if you want to make it even more fun, I'm going to grab my splatter brush. It's a brush that I use to make paint splatters. If I could find it. And I'm going to make some pink. And then I'm just going to splash some pink. And there we have our first exercise. Just kind of playing with water, playing with color, and being very loose. Our second activity is going to be making a fun bookmark. And I'm using thicker watercolor paper. This is 300-pound watercolor paper. 2 by 8, 2 inches wide, 8 inches long. And with this one, I'm just going to grab a mop brush. And all we're going to do is sort of let colors mix. And now that that is done, I'm going to grab some shimmery metallic paint. You can use any sort of shimmery paint you want. And we're going to just make paint splatters. So again, I'm going to grab my brush that I do splatters with. And we're just going to splatter. And I'm going to mix it in with this sparkly blue color. You can use gold, you can use whatever sparkly paint you want. It's very abstract, very loose. So here is the bookmark that we made together, and bookmarks are fun because they're small chunks of paper and you don't have to worry about like ruining or maybe like wasting nice watercolor paper. So I love painting bookmarks when I'm sort of in a rut because they're just really fun and really easy. You can play with shimmer paints, you can play with splatters, you can draw trees or leaves, you can really do anything. And I find painting small pieces help a lot when I feel sort of stuck and I want to get back into my groove, but I don't really want to paint something big. It's always nice to paint something small. So for our last exercise together, I'll be painting on a block of paper, but if you don't have one, you can just tape your watercolor paper onto a plastic board. And we're going to paint a really fun loose landscape and let our paints flow with the help of gravity. I'm going to start off by wetting my entire paper. And then after it's all wet, I'm going to take a brush, I'm going to pick up color, and I'm going to drop it at the top right here. You can pick whatever colors you want. I'm going with blue, some Payne's Gray, and some purple. And then once we kind of drop the color up at the top, we're going to tilt our paper upright like this, and it's just so fun to watch the watercolor bleed like this. And then I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to grab some blue again and I'm going to go over the top. And it kind of has like a misty feel. So I'm going to grab some Payne's Gray and I'm just going to make some upward marks to sort of make it look like trees. And I'm going to grab my fun metallic paints again, and I'm going to paint some loose trees in the foreground and some birds too. And that's it, simple and easy. You can do mountains, meadows, flowers. You could add whatever color you want. And if you want, you can even just kind of go with it and see what you see once the color settles. I hope this video helps you even just a tiny bit. Watercolor can be hard and frustrating, especially when we want our paintings to look and come out a certain way. I know I struggle with this often. So every now and then it's fun to just mess around with our supplies and let the magic of color really wow us. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit subscribe, and if you enjoy my content, use the following QR codes to either find me on Patreon or Instagram.